All right, here we are back for take number 2, the Dave and Joe
Ta-da.
Show, episode number 4.
I'll tell you what, it ain't easy being me, man.
We,
Holy crap.
we have such great equipment to work with. It's
Oh,
you can't win for losing. Lucretia,
my
girl.
give me some Kool-Aid. I need it bad.
That was funny. So I
Hey,
apologize, y'all. I'm sorry, man.
oh, no problem, man. I apologize too. I just, I'm a
Uh,
top load. You remember the top load VCRs
yeah, yeah. When it
with the
pops up,
wire remote? Yeah,
yeah,
there
yeah.
you go. I had
I remember that.
advanced.
Oh
Let's
man.
see.
I'm sorry, folks. Hopefully, we'll get some get it rolling here again. And
I think we'll get it rolling now.
yeah, we shouldn't have no slap back this time. I had to start a new hangout here, so we should be good, I believe. So
I had to go back up to dial-up.
you've got mail.
Rotary.
Yeah, I think I might join you there, David Stafford. He said it's time for a drink, and he said it sounds good now. Thank you, man, for letting
Hey,
us know. Thank you very much. I
Mr.
appreciate that.
Stafford, you rock, my friend.
Yes, thank you, man, very much. All right, Dave. Now,
Yes.
I was asking you about those 3 looper units, and those were
Yeah.
bought individually. I didn't know if they all came together or if they were just
No, those all
3.
individually. You can get those now for like about $250.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and what's nice with them is that that plastic bag that you see there inside there, I have these extra SD cards because what you could do is you could go between live looping in the memory or live looping inside the SD card. With the SD card, all you're doing is getting more storage. So when you get more storage, you get 99 loops. You get
Oh wow,
99 loops within the SD card where you could fill all 99 up. I mean, depending on how big that SD card is, if you want to put like an hour per loop, you could get like as many hours as you want.
good
So with
lord,
one loop pedal, yeah, I could do a 4 or 5 hour gig with one loop pedal.
man,
But
that's
yeah,
crazy.
but with the advantage with having 2 or 3 of them linked together, I could let's say have an intro and then I could right there on the fly without having to save it and then go up and down. Usually what I do is I'll do all my recording in here, and then I could take a song. Let's say if I want to take it in 3 different parts. Number 1 could be the intro. Number 2 could be like the chorus and the verses and that. And number 3 could be the outro. And as I click the switches, it'll automatically go to those hands free.
Oh, okay.
So
I bet that took a while to be able to coordinate all that. I bet it took a little bit of time
it
to
took a little time, yeah. But once I figured it out, I was like, yeah, this is awesome.
what gave you the idea for looping so you could be a one man band? Where did you just see somebody else do that, or did you get any
No,
inspiration from somewhere, or you just decided let me try this?
well, actually, we started doing this with like backing tracks and all that when we were doing these guitar clinics. And I take my CD, and then, of course, since I recorded here in house, I could just pull whatever I want out of it, just for like a demonstration. But when Boss first came out with that loop station, I have the RC20 and I have the RC20 XL. The RC20, I think that came out in 2001 or 2002, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was a great idea because, not only is it a creative tool, but you see a lot of these clubs, a lot of these places, if it's easier to pay one person than it is 5, because they always think money. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, yeah.
And when we were doing all our road shows, I'll tell you what, Joe, try to get a whole band together to do a road show and to do several of them back to back. It's
Yeah,
everyone's schedule. That's what it started to come down to.
yeah. That would be rough. I have the where's it at? The Boss RC3 loop station.
Yeah.
And I think it was just under $200, I think. And I've been working with that for the past couple of weeks. We're trying to work with it when I have time to kind of get better with creating loops rather, and
Yeah.
getting everything synced up. And I just recently learned how to save a loop on there. And also I bought the additional
Those,
Boss foot switch so I could plug up to it. So
yes.
when I want to cut the loop off, I can just press on that foot switch once. and it
Yeah.
cancels the loop, and then you can hit the actual loop pedal again to start the loop over, restart it or whatever. And I saw this one guy that we've talked about, that
Yeah.
Davias, is that what it was?
Yeah. Davi. Yeah.
And
I know
and
exactly what you're talking about. Yeah.
he's the one that inspired me to start working with that loop pedal some more, because of course his setup is incredible. I mean, to do what he does by himself, I was just blown away. I was like,
Yeah.
man, I was like, good Lord. But uh, so I said, man, I got this loop pedal. I want to try to mess with it, just to tinker around with it, and it's getting a little bit more familiar, and I enjoy it. It's a lot of fun. And I thought about you. I said, well, man, Dave does this all the time with a loop pedal, and doing his own thing, and
Yeah.
so
It's a great tool. I think its first intention was just have people come out and you could play a rhythm and kind of jam with yourself and build on your ideas. But then once people started using it for a live tool, for the gigs, then that's when I think it really started to take off, and where Boss and then Digitech had a Jam Man pedal that was similar to the Boss. Would had like the two type of pads, but it
right,
had that big memory card.
yeah,
Yeah, I think, and then you didn't get that much time off it. So when they did the upgrade to it, that's when they went to the SD card. And
right,
with the SD card, you get all this time on it. Now Boss has a new RC10, I think it is. It's two switches. Um, One is the looper, the other one's like a rhythm. So it's like a drum machine. So it's, the Trio Plus pedal.
yes, yeah.
Yeah, it's
I have
similar to
that.
that.
Yeah, I have that because I got that idea from you. Because I
Yeah.
think, don't you have it? Hey, R2R3 Dante, aka Old
R2R3.
Man Dan, and David Stafford says, I have a mini looper. Was it ITC? Is that, I don't know if that's ITC or okay, mini looper one, TC Electronics,
Yeah, TC
ditto.
Electronics.
But I'm not real smooth with it yet. Yeah, it's taking me some time to get used to my little looper. Thank you, Old Man Dan, for being in here. Thank you, everybody, for coming back. I apologize for the technical difficulties. A quick hello from R2R3 says today is his son's birthday.
Hey, happy birthday,
And
man.
happy birthday. He says, believe it or not, I'm riding a bike. Oh, my God. Be careful out there, man. We can't bounce
Yeah.
back. We can't bounce back from injuries like we could when we were 20, 25.
You know
Man.
how that is, man.
Oh, my God. Anyway, so I'm sorry, Dave. Please proceed, man. I
Oh
wasn't
yeah,
trying to
no,
cut
no,
y'all.
no, you're all right, Joe. No problem, brother. Yeah, matter of fact, I see we move things around here. Here's the I don't know if you can see this. The
Yeah,
jam.
that's what
That's
I
the
got.
Trio
Yeah.
Plus, yeah.
Uh-huh.
That, and I do have the latch switches. Of course, when I put stuff away, everything changes, and I gotta like feel things around. You know how that is, Joe.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
But I know here. Do I got these latch switches? Yes, I do. Now something's gonna fall, and yeah,
Oh, that's the way
these
everything always
you
happens
know how
over
it
here.
is. But yeah, these are the latch switches.
Yeah, I got one of those. Yeah, I got one of those that, yeah, if you buy them, you can latch them together. I saw,
Yeah,
yeah.
I've got them all. Yeah. Now, what I use these for is for the DR 880 drum machine. So I could have up a program, down a program. I could have a kick or snare or cymbal, start and stop. You know. So that's how you could assign all that. And then what else do we have here?
Hey,
What
Jim
else?
Guidry, Kevin Landorf, what's going on,
Jim, what's
man?
happening, man?
And yeah, those are cool switches, man. Those are
Yeah, they
cool.
work great. And you could use them with anything, any type of Boss
Yeah,
product.
I didn't know that until I used to have one of these Boss foot switches years and years ago, and I don't know what I've done with it. I apparently lost it because I don't have it anymore. So I got this one from Amazon. It was like $29.
Yeah.
Kevin Landor said it's been a while. It has, man. I'm not on Facebook anymore, so
Kevin
I
Lander,
did.
how you doing, buddy?
Yeah, he's a really cool dude, man. I didn't delete you, Kevin. I got rid of Facebook, so I shut my account. I shut it down, so I'm not. I
Yeah.
haven't been on there. But go ahead, Dave. Go ahead, man.
No, it's then I don't know if you ever heard of this. It's the S drum, Digitech S drum.
Nah,
So
I've
with
never. What's that? That's cool.
okay, with this, you could actually assign it to. It has a pad. See, it's like it's still brand new because it still kind of takes a little time to get used to. All right. With this, you can either use the pad for the kick and the snare, or if you assign it to your guitar, you could create a kick with your low E string
Oh
and
my
a
gosh.
snare with your high E. So if you're doing like a double bass, you're going da 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 da. As soon as you do that, and when you engage the pattern, it's going to create a pattern around that. So you'll have a drums, like a drummer playing along with you. If you're doing metal double bass,
How, how do
it'll be
the
a
how,
continuous.
how do the drums sound on that? They sound pretty good, or does it
Oh yeah,
sound?
they sound good. They really sound good. The only thing with these, and you might have noticed it with this, and I think Old Man Dan has one of these. You ever notice as you are playing a rhythm, and then when you go to engage it, it just randomly starts at wherever, because it's got these little LED,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it'll just randomly start somewhere.
I like the Trio Plus. I mean, I enjoy it, but it seems like um, maybe I just need to.
Compli-
There's a lot that you have to do to make it work,
right?
as opposed to just a regular loop pedal.
Yeah, exactly.
For my Boss RC3, which I know is just is pretty much small as you can get for a loop pedal. It's under $200, but uh, uh, I can hook up my Digitech RP1000, and then I put my effects like the delay, reverb. Well, I got two little pedal boards, two mini pedal boards. The the pedal board that has my delay and reverbs, I put those after the
Yeah,
Digitech RP1000, so they'll work. And plus I have the RP. I mean, I'm sorry, the RC3 loop station. It's on that pedal board as well, which goes after
right.
the effects unit, so it doesn't sound all screwed up. And
Yeah, because it'll
but
get screwy.
but I find that doing that setup, now there's cables everywhere, but doing that setup is, to me, better than messing with the Trio Plus. And I hate to say that because I like it, but to build a
Yep.
loop and build a pattern and all that, I was like, man, this is it's a little bit. It takes a lot more effort to get that going right. And and the drums are okay for what it is. I just wish they would sound a little bit better because I was like, for what you pay, you would think the drums would sound better.
Right.
But
Right.
it's I mean, it's still, don't get me wrong, I've it's still okay, but I can just get better quality using my RP1000 and then going into these pedals into the Boss Loop Station RC3, and it's
Yeah.
and also with the Digitech RP1000, just like your effects processor, I can go to a certain patch and turn my regular electric guitar into a bass guitar, and I can just add a bass rhythm right then and there. And
Yeah.
it opens up more doors. You have more freedom to create,
It does.
as opposed to the Trio Plus.
Yeah, because the Trio Plus, I mean, you could do the bass, you could bring up the bass volume, and one of the switches there, you could have like I think it's like three different stages. One is like simple bass, one is a little bit more
Yeah, yeah.
involved, and then the
Hmm.
third stage is a lot involved. But it doesn't sound as how can I say it?
Authentic.
It's right,
it,
authentic. Yeah,
it sounds too computerized to me.
it's
Yeah.
it's too computerized. And then another thing, if there's certain labeling, like okay, for your inputs, it's hard to see.
Man,
Does that say guitar? Or does that, yeah,
I tell you what, that happened to me. It was in such small letters, and I was like, "Where do I plug this stuff?" I had to get a flashlight and
yep.
hold the flashlight. I felt so stupid. Real quick, we got Brian Cody in the chat. Thank you, Brian Cody. Uh,
Yeah, Brian, what's happening, man?
Jim Guidry says he had the Trio Plus. I think he sold it or returned it. I can't remember. Dante, aka the old man Dan, says. And the Trio Plus is a great practice tool, but that's about it. And Jim
Yeah,
says he agrees with that. Yeah, it's great for what it is. David Stafford says it's always amazed me how Dave Byron can run all of that in sync to put on a show with his loop pedals. Oh yeah, it's crazy, man. I don't know how you do it either. And I was just like, my God,
it's
So
really simple because when I'm doing it live, okay, that's another thing. Uh, um, I guess I do things out of necessity because when they would hire me to do these shows, it's always 3 hours or 4 hours, right? And I like to improvise. So what when I'm doing my improvising and my live looping, the drums are literally it's just a fixed drum pattern coming out of that RP360. So another good pedal, which I think is even better than the trio, is the Beat Buddy.
Oh yeah, I got that.
That
Yeah,
yeah, because I
it is
heard
a
what Jim Guidry did with that, and that
yeah.
was smoking awesome.
Yeah, you can get a SD card that gives you
Yep.
a lot more options on your drum patterns and the drum sounds,
Yeah.
and that it the Beat Buddy is great the way it is, but once you use it for a period of time, you find yourself going over the same patterns and the same drum sounds
Yeah.
pretty quickly. And but with that SD card, it adds a whole new flavor to the whole new
But
spectrum, and I'm gonna be getting those pretty soon. I'm gonna be getting one of those because I that Beat Buddy for what it is, you can't
no,
beat
you can
that
you
for
can't
what it
beat it,
is.
man.
I mean,
Yeah.
this you talk about some really good drum sounds on that. And it says here, hey, Michael B, he hops in. Hey man, what's going on?
Michael
Uh,
B.
Old man Dan says, actually, I'm not happy with my electronic drum patches. They are too digital. I want organic. Oops, it just
Hmm.
moved on me. I want organic drum patches with non-perfect timing. Classic songs are great because they all have a slightly moving time signature. Uh, None are perfectly timed all the way through. Modern stuff is all timed perfectly and feels robotic. It's a very interesting statement. And, I was watching the YouTube channel the other day. I'll get right back to what you said, Brock and Dave. Um, he said that it was called Rick Beato. Rick Beato is a great YouTube channel. I don't know if you've seen it, Dave, but he's a producer. Not he lives in Atlanta. Great channel. But he talked about how things are nowadays, how things are uh, people just copy and paste,
Yeah.
certain things when they record and how everything sounds robotic. But proceed, Mr. Dave. I didn't mean
Oh
to
no,
cut you off.
no,
I'm
Joe,
just trying
you
I'm just trying to keep people involved in the chat. Please go ahead.
yeah, no, I appreciate it. No, no, you're absolutely right, Joe. Yeah, I've seen a few of Rick's episodes, and I agree. I think this is what's made classic rock and the classic metal stand the test of time. It wasn't perfect.
That's
There
right.
was that human feel right there, and I think that's what we're missing. With today's music. Now anybody who's fishing with a laptop and Pro Tools and all this other stuff, they could produce whatever they want. And it's gonna sound great, but after a while, it just keeps sounding like the same thing. So yeah, I do like having something more organic.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. That's I don't know. It's like I've said before. I quit listening to, I guess you could say, modern music. I quit listening to that a long time ago, and and everything does, things now, especially like it says, it sounds too perfect, and I'm like, man, that's just I don't know. I just can't handle that. I like the
Yeah, and
way
like
the way it used to be. And
yeah, same here, man.
but that stuff has stood the test of time, in my opinion, because it's great music.
Yeah.
I mean, and there's people playing their instruments. There's people performing. It's a group. You know, um, so
Joe,
it's
let me ask you this, Joe. Have you
yes, sir.
noticed that Dave's Guitar Channel? You know who that is, right?
Dave's
He's,
Guitar Channel.
yeah, yeah. He'll sometimes play the acoustic guitar. He's got a tattoo, and he'll talk. He plays in a band that it sounds like they do a lot of AM radio covers. And
I'm not
yeah,
familiar with that
yeah,
channel.
he's a cool guy. Um, he was basically saying that this the same thing. What's been going on is that it's too like overly produced.
Yes,
But another
yes.
thing he had said when you mentioned about everyone playing instruments, it's weird. Back in high school, we used to have T-shirts that said "disco sucks," right? And then the people in the disco had T-shirts that said "rock sucks," right?
Yeah,
But if you look back at it now, he was Dave's Guitar Channel. He was talking about Ohio players. Every band he was basically talking about in that realm was in part of the disco era. And now when you look back at it, with Eddie Van Halen playing on Michael Jackson's "Beat It," I remember when all that was coming out. It
Mm-hmm.
was taking that style of music, adding rock guitar into it, but people were still they were playing instruments.
Right.
It wasn't like everything
Yeah.
now is so computerized and push a button here and, like you say, cut and paste, and now we got a polished song.
I think we're it's safe to say that we're getting old
We're
because
old, man.
because uh, things aren't like they used to be, like we talked about before. Record stores, even recording studios, those aren't as prevalent as they used to be. I mean, uh, things are just so different. It's
Yeah.
just so different. Vintage Sounds has joined the chat. Hey, Jamie, Vintage Sounds, what's going on, man? I think Mr. Stafford made a comment. Sorry, David Stafford. Let's see. I think I plugged my pedals in wrong to my amp. I was told to plug my board into the back of my amp, but I can't get the tone I want when I do that. I think someone told me to parallel loop them.
What
Uh,
exactly is he trying to do?
I think I think that he doesn't have his pedal chain correct.
Right. Okay. If I've seen a couple of videos, I think what's his name, Rob Chappers and a few other guys,
Yeah.
taking some of the effect processes and like the Boss Metal Zone and going into the pedal, and then instead of going to the front of the amp, going into the power amp section.
Mhm.
Yeah, your preamp would be power amp in. Okay, and I think you get my a volume drop. Really, I think David Stafford said he still has his original pedals that he bought 20 years ago,
Wow. I wish
and
I
he
did.
uses them. I know, right?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
rare.
Yeah. Man,
I
that's crazy.
yeah, I think you remember, Joe. We used to do, okay. You take like your modulating effects; those would go into the effects loop, and then if you use an overdrive on a wah pedal, that go into the front of the amp.
Right. Right.
To me,
Yeah.
that combination, it still works the
It
best.
still works. Still for me,
Yeah.
that's what I do. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. What was I going to say? There was I'm always on the lookout for, speaking of effects and stuff. You brought this up, or the light bulb went off when you said that in my mind. But this has probably been out for a little bit, and Zoom. I'm a big fan of Zoom products. I always have been, especially when I had only been playing for a few years or something. And remember back in the day, you could get those little Zoom effects processors that were
Yeah.
square.
They were
I
square.
had one that
Yep.
was silver. And you could get these amazing tones for somebody that hadn't been playing long, such as myself back then, and was just starting to get into. Uh, it was one of those processors, you could plug in some headphones, and I was like, oh my
Yep.
god, that sounds incredible. So, but now they got something. Oh man, I don't know if I'm gonna get this right. Is it called the Zoom? Forgive me if I get this wrong. It popped up on my YouTube feed. There were some people doing reviews on it, and I can't remember if it was called the Zoom GX1 or something.
I think I know what you're talking
It
about. Yep.
hasn't been out long, and there's two versions you can get. It's one that's just the effect processor itself, or you can spend $20 more and get the expression pedal that's hooked to it.
Yeah.
For $99, and
Yep.
and I was going to order that. I was really close because I love to tinker around with different little um, effects processors and stuff just to see what I can
Just
do.
to see what you
And
can do with it.
I was on, and I said, "Nah, man." I said, "Nah," and I backed off at the last minute because there. I looked at some reviews, and it's really cool, but there's some things that you need to kind of know going in what to do to make it sound better. And to the person who's not familiar with that piece of equipment, you wouldn't know what to do.
Yeah.
So I was like, man, I don't know. Do I really need another effects processor? And I thought, no, nah. So I backed off of it.
Backed off.
But
Yeah.
who knows? Maybe in the future I might do it because I like having those little toys like that. I love having
Oh
stuff.
yeah.
I would rather have a bunch of effects processors than a whole lot of amps. because those are
That's
so
just it.
convenient to carry around and
They're so convenient.
plug them into a
Here's the thing.
PA.
Joe, you have a fly rig. I get everyone they call them fly rigs. Okay, all it is effect processor. That's what when we did our gig in over for NATO in Brussels, I had to, I was able to take the guitar in the plane with me, put it in a padded gig bag. Thank God it fit in the overhead compartment. And then my
Right.
effect pedals, I made sure that all my effect pedals could run on AA batteries. Um,
Um,
because even though if you get the converter that could fit in the walls, because over in Europe it's different.
it's
If
different, yeah.
something would happen and you blow your pedals, so I made sure I got all my everything on batteries and then stuck it in a pedal bag and slid it in the seat on in front of me underneath
That's
there.
a great idea, man. I've never thought about it. That's great. Yeah.
I told a friend of mine when he went on the Guitar Gods tour with Yngwie Malmsteen, and he was like, "Damn, Dave, what am I gonna do? How am I gonna get my 412 cab?" I said to him, I says, "Brian, don't even bring your amp. This is where you need to start investing in a good multi-effect unit that has good amp sims that you could go into the front of house and you can have a good monitor feed because it's just think about it, one or two guitars, a little effect unit, very few chords, and you're good to go.
That's me. That's
Yeah,
if I can get the most out of a simple little setup like that, even if it's just in here. I mean,
right.
that's what I want because when you go or you want to play live on YouTube or when I like to do that, I like to have something that I can set up pretty quick. Go into the interface here, out of that into my Yamaha THR-10X and into the smartphone. I need something that's pretty quick, but it's going to sound good. And so far, my setup it sounds great for
Oh,
me
it sounds great, man.
for what I want to do for playing live over the internet. I was like, man, so and plus I got those Sonic Cake, those little Sonic Cake
Yeah.
things. I bought those and so I was like, I think I'll just kind of take a break on getting some more
I know what you
effects
mean.
processors because I was like, man, just I got so many little different toys and things, and I said, man, I need to just hold up. But if you don't mind, Dave, I want to address this real quick, if
Yeah,
you don't
go ahead,
mind,
man. Oh,
and
no, no,
we'll
I don't mind at all.
see if you are familiar with this. Brian Cody says, Easy Drummer 2 is a very good drum creation program. It's real drummers recorded in awesome studios, so you can get that human feel. I'm using it now to record my EP. I've heard a lot of good things about Easy Drummer 2, and I think Jim Guidry has that as well. I think. Um, Kevin Landorf says, got the new Walrus audio reverb pedal. Very cool for ambient reverbs. Or is it ambient? I've heard it pronounced both, ambient or ambient. Vintage Sound says, yeah, Zoom is awesome. I have a 16-track digital recorder with a CD burner. I used to have one of those. I don't know if it was by Zoom. I don't think it was by Zoom. I think it was by, I can't remember if it's False Text, whatever. I still got it. It just doesn't work anymore. I just still have it. It's out there in my, out there in the trailer. Michael B says, my bass amp has 50 plus effects built in. Sounds great. No hassle. See, thank you, Jamie Vitty Sound. I appreciate it. That's what I like about, I've even said this before, made videos on this channel before. And Dave, you chime in about this. The Boss, the 100-watt Boss head here,
Mm-hmm.
it's solid state. It's got built-in effects. It's awesome. If you want to have a cabinet and plug that in and play live, man, that is killer. And my Line 6 Spider 4, it's got two 10-inch Celestians. That thing will thump. Built-in effects, it sounds killer. And I don't understand why this stuff gets so much hate. I'm like, well, what is wrong with
Joe.
people?
No, yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that, Joe. First of all, that Boss head is a brilliant idea because the head has a little 5-inch speaker built into it.
Yes.
Brilliant.
Yes.
Okay. Recently we bought the Fender George Benson Hot Rod Deluxe. It's all tube. This is the first tube amp I've had in 36 years. That's how long it's been since I had a tube amp. I love the way the
Wow.
Fender sound. Yeah. So I told Deb, I don't care. I don't care. Friedman wants to make me an amp and give it to me. Okay, that's fine. Am I going to go out and buy it? No, I'm not because I'm happy with what I have. So getting back to what you just said, when I hear these people make these comments, now everyone's entitled to their opinion, but I'm going to talk about the people that say they're They're the professional sound engineers. And when you're doing a sound check and you're playing outside, this happened to me a few times back in Illinois. The guy's walking around with his pad, and he tells me, uh, I'm going to make up a arbitrary number here. 1,500 kilohertz. It's peaking here and there. That's fine. But guess what? We're outside. Everybody's drunk. Nobody cares. They cannot hear what your tablet is seeing. So
Right.
this is the killjoy. So these people, and I'm not trying to put them down, but don't you find this like just what you just said? Why are these people putting this gear down? This gear works. It's easy. You see, Joe, they never, and maybe they didn't have to do X amount of shows where you got to pack the stuff up. You're tired. Then you got to go do the next gig. After a while, you get tired. We're all human. So what these manufacturers did, they found a way to make things sound great. And honestly, a lot of times when you're playing live, even if you're outside, you're going to mic that amp, like you just said with your Line 6. You said you got a Line 6 Spider, right?
Spider 4, yeah.
Spider 4. And the one that everybody hates because it sounds digital, it doesn't sound authentic. Here's the reality. When you're playing in front of a bunch of people, they got their beers here, and they're like this, headbanging, and the music's rocking. The only person that's going to say it sucks is a sound guy. And what's he going to do? Run through the crowd of people and say, you guys can't enjoy yourself because you see, it's a digital distort. You don't understand, guys. You don't have trained ears. They're going to say, get the hell out of my way. They're going to what? Run into the mosh pit? They're going to get their ass beat, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Nobody cares. Nobody cares.
Oh.
And that's the reality. I think you get a great sound out of what you do. And if someone would say, Dave, would you take that out playing live? I said, you're damn right I would, because it's simple, it works. And
That's
here's the
right.
reality.
That's right.
Nobody wants to talk about this one. When you go out and you do these gigs, you know what they tell you? Rain or shine, the event goes on. Rain or shine. You get wet, your gear gets wet. So you drag all this expensive gear around, right? And I'm not knocking it. It sounds great. That's wonderful. But how many times could you replace some of this high-end gear that gets destroyed from the weather?
Oh, no.
Ask anybody how much they're really making. There's a girl, her name is, I think her name is Sarah Longfield. She was being interviewed. Now she's starting to make headway and she's starting to get and do, festivals and that. She made, on this interview, she made a perfect comment. She said, a signed musician, this is what they're getting. You are making equivalent of what the manager at McDonald's is making. What's the difference between the two? The manager at McDonald's has a steady income, is going to make more money than you, the signed musician. That's the reality.
Right. Thank you, Michael B, for the super chat, man. Thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah, you're right. It's and what you said, if I was doing shows, going out and doing stuff like that, I would buy the Zoom, whatever it says, the GF or GX1, whatever one I would get that. I'd splurge the $99 and get it, and that was what I would use, because you know what I used to do all the time, man, when I played out. I mean, not that we were like going cross country or nothing. We were just here local, but my rig was the Zoom RP1000 and a PA system. That was it, because I could run the guitar in there in the PA. I could run all the mics. I could run my buddy's acoustic through there. So
Yep.
I didn't worry about toting amps out, which is great. It's fine. Craig Tullius, hey man. I mean, which is okay to do that, but back then it was just a duo. It was just me and another guy, like with you and Mike.
Yeah.
And so I invested in a PA system, and I had the Zoom RP1000, I'm sorry, the Digitech RP1000, and he had his Seagull acoustic, and we were fine. And we were making about the same money that people are making today. There was times we'd made $100, we'd have to split that. And sometimes we get $200, we'd split that. Yep. And sometimes we'd get $65. I mean, and I thought to myself, I said, my God. And that's how I know for this little area I'm in, it's just not worth it. It's just not. I mean, unless you just want to do it because you want to. But if that's the case, why not just do it on YouTube? And
Yeah, that's what I
but
mean. You're smart, Joe. You're doing it. To me, you're not missing anything by some of these live gigs. A lot of it has slowed down here because number one, it's off season. Number two, everyone's trying to recover from the red tide. All this red tide start.
oh
It
yeah,
it
yeah,
it, it closed a lot of businesses.
I'm sure.
Um,
Yeah, I
yeah.
can only imagine. Yeah,
So when a club starts running out of money, how could they pay somebody X amount of dollars? So naturally, your pay goes down. When we were down in Key West, it is so saturated down there. It's great down there. But if you were to ask me, Dave, would you, Deb, move down there and be able to 100% live off of just the gigs? We would be able to if we shared an apartment or a house with somebody else because you're not going to make that much money. That's the
right.
sad reality.
That's the reality, man. There's no way around that. I would say if somebody has a great gig and they're making decent money, which if far as playing music, in my opinion, now this is just me, I would say decent money is if they can, if they're clearing, you know, $600 to $700 a week, I would say they're doing really, really well. If they're doing that as far as the music thing goes.
Right.
But we've talked about this before, man. I thought myself, when I was younger, I was in my early 20s and right before I got into my first marriage, I thought, man, I want to, get in a band and I want to be able to be a successful musician and hopefully make a living at that. And then it came apparent really quick. I mean, like that
Mm-hmm.
that wasn't going to happen because it's just, it just wasn't going to happen. I mean, then when you get married and you have a family, you're like, man, I need money every week.
Yes.
A study, not this fluctuating things that like music does. Music is so
Mm-hmm.
fluctuating; it's incredible. And so I knew right then and there in my early 20s, I said, well, as far as doing music full time and all that, that's just not going to happen because I wasn't going to be one of those guys that was going to be living on a pipe dream. I'm not saying that if you do that it's a pipe dream and you shouldn't do it. I'm just speaking from my experience.
Right.
I said I need to go to work, and I got a baby to family to support, and I said I got to do what I got to do. So it's been like that ever since. And so
Yeah.
I think a lot of people, um, I think there's a lot of people that think they can do that. But now in this generation, it's YouTube. People think they can get on here and make a living on YouTube, and I feel sorry for them people, man. I don't feel sorry for them. I really don't. I mean, if you think that you can get on here and make a living and don't actually go to a job, you're out of your damn mind.
Right. I agree.
It's not going to happen. You better get off your ass and go to work, because it's just not going to, it ain't going to happen, man.
It ain't gonna happen, Joe. And here is the cold hard reality. You better have some sort of a trade, some sort of a skill that really is. If it's gonna be music related, think about it. How much do we need guitar builders rather than truck drivers who are delivering back and forth food, all the necessities in life? You know, you need the necessities and everything else is the wants. And I'll tell you right now, it is incredibly tough to constantly, like you said, $700 a week. That's got to be every single week. Your stomach becomes in a knot. When Deb and I was doing this, we were able to, each year we saw things increase. But sooner or later, in between there, there were times, okay, when is the next gig going to come in? You're constantly on the phone or you constantly email, you become the salesman, and you're constantly selling a product that is so opinionated that, okay, today we'll try this, tomorrow we'll try something else. And here's another thing, Joe. When you said about the on the internet, you know, Google owns YouTube. So if Google says, guess what, guys, um, we're gonna change everything because you see now we need to make more money than you guys because we got bills to pay. We got these huge warehouses that's warehousing all these computers and all this other crap. So instead of you getting, whatever how much money people make off YouTube, they run a risk of seeing their income decline. And if they don't have a backup system, they are screwed. And it's sad. It's real sad. And I'm not trying to be a negative person on this, but there's realities in life.
That's right. I mean, it's called real life.
That's what it is. That's what it is. Go to like the richest neighborhoods in the area, right? Or like what's all the hot spots for musicians. And when you see all these pawn shops and you see all these fancy guitars and all this gear, you know what that is? That's just that's a number of all kind of things, but part of that is failed music, and it's not that they're not good musicians. It's just that they could not make it in the industry, so they buy this expensive stuff. Now they can't sell it, so they got to pawn it because everyone's got bills to pay.
Oh yeah, yeah. Especially in this day and time,
Man, yep.
you need a job, man. I mean, it's just the whatever, man. Let me go over
Yeah.
somebody's because I could go on a whole new. We've talked about this before, Dave. I could go on a whole nother tangent
Oh yeah.
about YouTube and how some people think they're living in a freaking la la land, and it's just
Oh yeah.
let me go back, and I'm sorry, folks. We're trying to get to your comments here. We're not on this channel. We do our best to address the chat and keep y'all involved and to be a part of the show because if it wasn't for y'all, there would be no show. So thank y'all for being here. Let me go back a little bit here. David Stafford's music studio says, my band made so little money, we just threw all of our gig money in a hat and used it in the studio when we recorded. There you go. That's a good deal, man. Let's see. Craig Tully said he had to leave, so I told him goodbye in the chat there. Brian Cody wants to know, Dave, what is red tide?
Red tide is it's you have algae in the water and red tide, and it is like a bacteria that's affecting the water down here. A lot of the restaurants rely on fishing to because they got the fresh fish, so it's affecting the wildlife. Some of the restaurants are all along the coastline, and when this stuff comes in, it smells. You could smell it like dead fish, washing up ashore. So you're sitting on the patio there at these nice restaurants, eating your food, and all of a sudden, this stench. I mean, it smells horrible. It smells like death. And people don't want to sit out there while they're eating, and it smells like rotten eggs. You know what I mean? So they get up and they leave. So that's what has affected some of these businesses.
Old man Dan makes a thank you, Dave, for clarifying that because I really wasn't sure myself. Dante, aka Old Man Dan, makes a great comment. YouTube is beholden to no creators. The money could disappear tomorrow. That's right. I mean, I've been watching some. They pop up on my feed for whatever reason. I don't know why on YouTube, but there's there's creators out there that are saying, YouTube is changing this, they're changing that, and they're all getting mad. Oh, I'm leaving YouTube tomorrow. Well, leave. We don't care. Leave. Go ahead and go because you know what? All y'all's damn asses are going to go to somewhere and be getting a job sooner or later. I mean,
Yep.
it's just the way it is. And they're like, well, I'm here to ask my great subscribers if you could please super chat or Patreon. Come on, man. Really? You going to get on there and ask people for money? Come on, man. Go to work. That's just, I just don't get it. There's a lot of them people. A job, David Stafford said. That's right, man. And that's right.
I love it.
That's it. That's right. And it's just, I'm like, I don't know, man. I said, man, God, dog, and it's for some people that make their living on YouTube and all that, and they've enjoyed their success. And I mean, big channels. That's great, man. That's great. But, really, like old man Dan said, that could stop anytime. YouTube could disappear, and I can't help but at some of these channels, man, I laugh because I'm like, that's funny because I'm like, if you're counting on that, for your money, and that's great, man.
I hope it works.
Some people get it. Some people are fortunate. That's great. But to me, it don't matter if YouTube stops tomorrow because I'm going to work Sunday night. So That's where I make my
See?
money. So
Exactly. Because you know what, Joe? You know what that reminds me of? You ever see the guy that's got the sign that says "We'll work for food"?
yeah,
we,
and he ain't gonna
we'll
do
we'll
no
work for
work.
super. They ain't gonna do no work,
He ain't gonna do no damn work. He just wants you to give him some money.
right? Because the liquor store opens in 15 minutes.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Oh my God. People
But
are crazy, man. People are
it is.
crazy.
It's real sad. And you know what this reminds me of, Joe, is that, and a lot of you guys out there and out there on YouTube, you guys know what's it. Remember in the late 1990s when the internet bubble busted? You know, everyone, a friend of mine, he kept on telling me, he says, Dave, you need to learn how to sell stuff on the internet. I says, okay. And I got thinking about it. And I said, hey, so if I buy something off the internet, doesn't it have to be shipped to my house? Well, he
That's
says,
right.
yeah, but I said, so then what's more important, the internet or the guy that's delivering? You see, no matter where you got to go, you need logistics. It's got to go from point A to point B. So I might have more of a solid, job if I'm the guy that's carting the stuff back and forth. Because when the bubble busts on the internet, guess what? Walmart still has to have supplies brought to Walmart,
Oh yeah.
Jewel, and all these other places. So this is what I mean. It comes back to the needs. And if you're in the driver's seat, and meaning you're making solid income, now you got this extra play money, just like what you're doing, Joe. You're doing it the right way. You go and you do your performances. You don't have to hit the panic button if somebody's not watching you. When you do this, when you do music for a living, it's like you really do need all those watchers, all those people buying your product, your CDs, all of that stuff. It's like every single show you do, it's like the pressure's on. Because when you see a decline, and how many times, if Van Halen would have come to town once every month with the same show, would you honestly be going once every month with the same show? You
No,
know what I mean?
no. I know where you're going.
Yeah, exactly. when
No,
when I
man.
when I post up our live gigs, I very seldom watch the replay. I only watch my replay to watch my mistakes and think, "Oh crap, why
That
did I do that?"
that's
But
what I
I
do.
get
That's
burned
what
out
I
on
do.
me.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's I'll look back and I like to watch it back to hear what the audio sounds like
yep,
and what I look like, and that's how you educate yourself on your own stuff. I mean, a lot of people might think, "Well, he's just got a big head." I'm like, "No, that's not that's not what it's about." You don't know how to correct anything if you don't look at something and address what's going on, and then you're like, "Okay, well,
exactly.
I can improve this and make this look better and do this and this." And it might not be dramatic improvements, but a little bit is better than nothing. At least
Right.
it shows that you're making an effort, you know.
Yeah.
So let me look at this real quick. It says Dante, aka Old Man Dan, says, "Hey Dave, I applied for a job in Winter Garden just outside of Orlando." So I guess
Okay.
he's
I think
applied
he's
for a
good
job.
at yeah. See, Orlando, Old Man Dan is I want to say about 2.5 hours maybe from us.
Hmm.
Here, see, okay, Old Man Dan, it's great down here. I love it down here, but just keep in mind there's not like a whole lot of roads. Over where you're gonna go at, if you get the job there and you move over there, since it's Orlando, you might get more of like a city life, but keep in mind those expressways that get backed up because down here in Fort Myers, well, it gets backed up, man. There's only a
Yeah,
few roads. So it literally when everyone's down here in season, just to go 5 miles up the road, you better go early. Otherwise, it's an all day fiasco, and you're sitting in your car, man.
yeah.
You know?
I wouldn't. I wouldn't want to live in Florida. No offense to any
Yeah.
Floridians, but man, it is. Oh my goodness, there is no way. I just couldn't do it. Let's see. Kevin Landor says I was in Sarasota last September and the red tide was in and it was horrible. Wow,
Yeah. See, you
man.
know what it is, Kevin.
Jim Guidry
What?
said he issued all the gift cards to himself, so there will be no gift cards being issued tonight because Jim's keeping them all for himself. Wow, wow, Jim, way to share the love, man.
I love it.
He says the hell with everybody. I'm keeping all these Amazon gift cards. I'm just kidding. We don't give out gift cards here. I just like to mess with Jim like that. I just like to play with him. I'm just kidding. I'm just
We could
joking.
get a membership over at the YMCA.
Yeah. Oh Lord. Oh my goodness. Let's see.
You know,
Dante, old man Dan says, I came from SoCal, so I am more than familiar with traffic.
oh yeah, Dan,
Wow.
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
you got that. You got the. I mean, you know, if you make this movie, it is nice down here. You will like it, especially no snow in the winter, man. Done with that.
Oh,
And I
then
saw that video that he had the last winter where he was doing all that shoveling. Man, well, he had the snowball, but still, man. And you got to be careful as we get older. More and more people start having heart attacks with all that, especially when the snow is wet because it's heavier.
It's heavier, yeah.
You know?
Uh-huh. Yeah, that's something I wouldn't miss is the winter. I mean, we don't, of course, our winter ain't nothing like what y'all had, Rock and Dave, but yeah, Jim says hurricanes though. Yeah, that's something that, as you know, you can contend with in your area, and we can as well. It's just, you know, what can you do, man? You know, Mother Nature's gonna do what she wants to do.
That's it.
Vintage Sound says, Rock and Dave, I bet Florida is, he said Florida is too humid for him. He says, oh, I can vouch for that. I'm not, my wife and I went down to Bradenton, Florida. I don't know. This is quite a few years ago for vacation. We were staying in this little condo thing, and that's when I was still smoking. And I stepped outside to smoke a cigarette, and all I was doing was just standing there. And I lit it up, and I was like, I was just started pouring sweat. I was like, man, to hell with this, man. I sat there and took that cigarette and flicked it out, and I went back inside. She goes, that was fast. I said, the hell with that damn cigarette. I said, my God, it's 120 degrees outside, you know. And I asked her, I said, how the hell did you live down here? You know, with how did you? She goes, well, you adapt to it, you get used to it. And I was like, take me back to South Carolina. I mean, my gosh, man, it was hot, boy.
Joe,
and then you was on vacation. Here's the bad part: you're on vacation, 6 a.m. I woke up and said, "What the hell is that damn noise?" It's all them folks out. All the folks out there, you know, lawn care folks and everything with blowers. And I said, my God, I'm on vacation. I ain't supposed to be up at 6 o'clock. And, but they do that to get a start, try to beat the heat, you know?
Yeah, they do.
Man, I was pissed. I said, this vacation sucks. I can't go out inside and smoke. I can't sleep in. My God. I said, I need to call the Rev and complain. Come down and straighten some people out.
That's right, man. When we were down in Key West, so we go every morning. We had the included breakfast, and since you know everything's kind of outside, we're sitting out there eating our breakfast, and sure enough, here comes the guy with the leaf blower, blowing his leaves all over the place, man. And then you're eating. And then not just the geckos, there we had some of the iguanas. Then they start running around, and if you're not used to this, man, the girls will start screaming. Ah! You know what's that? Freaks them out.
Yeah, that's something I don't want somebody to be doing when I'm trying to eat. I don't want you ever been in a restaurant, and this is one of my wife's huge pet peeves. We're sitting there and they bring your food, and then you got a waitress or a waiter or somebody over here, and they're sweeping with a broom. Sweeping, and I'm like, man, get that shit out of here, dude. I'm trying to eat. You know, like, don't be sweeping over here. I mean, people are just, you know, they're just dumb. You know,
they're dumb. There's no other word for it. But
I ain't gonna mention what kind of restaurant it was, but but it was. I was just like, man, y'all, what are y'all doing, man? Y'all supposed to do that when it's time for closing time, not when people are eating. But
it's crazy, man.
It's crazy, man. It's crazy. Old man Dan, I want to experience a hurricane. No, you don't either. No. You don't want to experience that, man.
Dan, it was 3 weeks when we got down after we moved down here. 3 weeks. And all of a sudden, here's the Doppler radar system. Here's the state of Florida, right? And here's Hurricane Irma. And I'm like, oh, shit, man. We just walked into a death trap down here, man. And we stayed down here. We just went up to Clearmont, which is west of Orlando. But I'll tell you what, man, Chicago, it was my hometown for 54 years, the Windy City. Ain't got nothing on these hurricanes down here, Joe.
Oh,
The Windy
I can
City ain't got nothing on it, man.
I know. I can imagine, man.
Holy crap.
This stuff
But when
don't
you were
play.
down here, Joe, and you said you went out to smoke the cigarette, right? So you get out of your hotel room. As soon as you opened up that door, did it feel like you walked into an oven?
I'm
How hot it is?
yes, yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's how it is, man.
Oh my God, yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I was like, I'll be right back. Open the door, and I was like, oh my God. I was
You didn't
like,
even need a lighter. Just hold
yeah,
the cigarette up to the sun and
and
boom.
what? Yeah, yeah. Thank you. It was just like earlier, like 45 minutes earlier, I took a shower. I was all nice and clean, smelling
Yeah.
good. Walk outside, and I was like, "Oh man!" I was like, "No, this ain't gonna work, man." What did y'all do? Y'all was down there, stayed in the condo, and
Stayed in
did
the
what?
condo, man.
Watched TV. Y'all didn't go out and do anything. I was like, "No." I mean, yeah, you can, but you'll be paying for it, man.
Yeah.
Kevin Landorf says, Dave, did you live in Chicago itself?
Yeah. Yeah. I grew up in Chicago. I grew up, well, several places, but just before I moved out of the city, I grew up in, right down the street from Wrigley Field. Kenmore and Grace Avenue was the street I lived on. And it literally was a block and a half north of Wrigley Field. And we had all the blues and jazz clubs around. So, and then, I moved out to the suburbs and then met Deb at Ozfest 1998. And we hooked up, and she lived out in Aurora, Naperville, Illinois. And I've been out there with her for the last, I would say about 17 years. And then July of 2017, we relocated down here to Florida. So I'm still getting used to it, man. It is different moving from a big city when you can just walk down and you got everything there to down here.
So you were up in Chicago. You was right there, right smack in the middle of the music scene, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah, we had such a great music scene. Oh my God. There was clubs everywhere,
Mm-hmm.
But like everything, it starts to dwindle. And there was a lot of politics. Joe, and a lot of people out on YouTube, this is where I would get that saying, the growth chokers and these biased people. Because man, when I started booking the band for our band, and this was before I met Deb, these people I would run into, man, they'd make everything ridiculous. They would make it so ridiculously hard. And I started getting a little bit pissed off at them because they would hire half of their friends that were not really that good at all. And I really believe in giving everybody a fair shot. Don't get me wrong. But when you could tell when people push you aside and they don't want you this and because they're afraid that you're going to be that next thing that's going to make it, and that's what they wanted. So what they do is they pull you down so they can get themselves up. That's what I can't stand. And there was a lot of that going on in Chicago. R2R3, he remembers a lot of that. We used to play at the Thirsty Whale.
Uh-huh.
And, you could get that anywhere there's a big city where there's more of an opportunity that, okay, this could be the big time. You're a music city. That's why we did not move to Nashville, Tennessee. It's not that I couldn't,
Yeah.
or Austin, Texas. And it's not that I'm not afraid of competition and watching people there, because I'm not the best guitar player out there. That's how I started to learn. But what people don't tell you, it's the promoters. It's not always the musicians. It's the promoters, man.
Yeah.
And they'll make life real hard. I asked the guy I work with, I says, let me ask you something. Because he's smart. He plays and he's starting to build guitars. I said, let me ask you something. If you see, if a musician is talking with you and they're complaining that they're not getting enough gigs, they can't get the gigs, or let's say they're on YouTube and they're not getting enough views, I said, would you think less of that musician? Would you think they don't have talent? Or would you think something else is going on? Well, because he's a musician, he really answered, no, there's probably something else going on. Because you ever notice people who really are good, sometimes they don't get what you think they deserve. How many times you've mentioned, wow, all these guitar players that you know, they're kind of like forgotten musicians, and they should have gotten more credit than what they've gotten, but they didn't. And it's not because they're not good. It's because you got people trying to claw at them and throwing them down, and they want to be top of the hill. I
Oh
see a
yeah.
lot of that on YouTube, you
Oh
know.
yeah. There's a lot of that on YouTube, man. That's why. That's another reason. Really, the main reason I shut down my Facebook, because whenever I'd get on there, it was the same old crap all the time.
Mm-hmm.
It was Drama Central, or somebody. I'm just going to be blunt. Somebody talking shit about somebody else or something going back and forth, and I was like, my God, this is crazy, And so, and then Facebook changed their algorithm 2 or 3 years ago. I didn't realize it. I didn't realize this until lately, but they changed their algorithm where it's geared more toward bullshit than it is legit, like music stuff or whatever. If you got some bullshit post or some drama thing going on, like it had this thing on there where either animals were getting abused or this elderly lady
Yeah,
gets robbed by a group of thugs, and that's get like millions of views. I'm like, really? That shouldn't even be on here.
that shouldn't even
But
be on
but
there.
then when you get somebody playing music, it don't matter who it is. Somebody playing music and they're really trying to have fun and uh, showcase their
Yeah,
talent. That doesn't get shit. They don't.
no,
It's like Facebook purposely steers an audience away from that or whatever. So Facebook was a dead end for me, because all I would use Facebook for was to put some videos on or whatever, like YouTube, and it wouldn't get nothing. And I was like, you know what? Fuck this, man. So
yeah,
I shut it down. And plus, you got all your uh, different people that they just want to start trouble or whatever. I said, you know
yeah.
what, man, fuck all them people, man. So they can live in their own little make believe world and do what they want to do. And I shut mine down. So it ain't no love lost here, and it ain't.
No,
I'm not trying to sound like a dick either, but it's just like, man, I don't have time for that. So that's why I left Facebook. It was just too crazy. It was just is it's just crazy. Haters going to hate anywhere you go. Vintage Sound says, "Oh yeah, that's right. That's cool. I mean, that's cool. That's true. It's not
that's
cool. It's true.
true.
YouTube is notorious for it, unfortunately, for what I was talking about with Facebook. I'm
Yeah,
sure it is. Stafford Music Studio on Facebook. If you post what you're eating for supper, that'll get more views than if you post a song played on guitar. That's true. That's something that I noticed. I would David Stafford and myself have talked about that before. Like, if let's say you work on a video and you want to put some editing to it, and to edit a video, that takes time. It doesn't matter.
mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter if you want to do some major editing or just some minor editing. Either way, it takes time. And then you throw that up on YouTube or whatever social media platform, and most of the time, it doesn't get any views, and you're like, man, that's kind of weird, because that's just the world we live in now.
Right.
The internet world is what we live in now. It's just the way it is. But if you set up your phone and I'm sitting here playing, I don't know, playing something, just something random, throw that up there, and it gets a lot of views. I'm like, why is that? Why?
Yeah,
You would think it would be the other way around, but it's everything comes down to an algorithm, and
yeah.
that's what decides if your video should get attention or not, which is strange, but that's just how they have it.
That's how they have it, Joe, and that's how it was. And before all this, and with some of these booking agents, they would be the ones deciding who's gonna make it, and who's not, and that's what's sad. Now I think Vintage Sounds asking, "Hey, Rock and Dave, did you get to meet a lot of the blues guitar players in Chicago?" I did, and actually, Deb used to run sound for Lonnie Brooks, and Deb ran sound for a band called the Kinsey Report. And you know, now Deb, I think might have met Buddy Guy. I never went to Buddy Guy's club,
Oh man,
unfortunately.
I'd love to go there. Yeah.
But people would always have this perception of blues, Chicago blues, being dun 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 dun. It's not. There was a lot of stuff that was so underground that never got put in the mainstream. You see, again, the mainstream picks what it's going to be like. Today, if mainstream would have picked you, Joe, they would tell you, you know, Joe, you can't use that Boss Katana. No, we're going to give you something that we feel that's going to fit your needs. And you could probably say, I hate this thing. And they'll say, oh no, but we want you to do it. That's how that was. But getting back to the blues guitars, yeah, guy named Lefty Diz I
Yeah.
met, who's a great guy. Eddie the Chief Clearwater. Now, I did a show with Lonnie Brooks's son, Ronnie Baker Brooks,
Yeah.
and I'm
Oh,
just gonna kind of leave it at that. And okay, he's a good guy, but they hired me because I could play flamenco guitar, and we were doing like a Christmas benefit show for a real estate company. So we were at the Hilton in Lisle, Illinois, and when I did my rock show, I didn't do anything that he did because he played with his teeth and behind his head. I thought I'm not gonna disrespect him. I'll do what I do. He does what he does. We're gonna respect each other. But put it this way: when I was doing the flamenco style guitar, I got the feeling like he didn't like that.
hmm.
But that's what I got paid for, dude. That's what I got hired to do. I
Right.
wasn't trying to step on anyone's toes. That's another thing that I would do. So why am I the bad guy? Because that's what the guy that signs the paycheck. He's the boss. You know what I mean?
That's it. That's right.
But
That's
I
right.
mean, there was some good people in Chicago that we met.
Hey, Dave, can I ask you a question real quick?
Yeah.
I need to step out for a second, so can you take over for a
Oh
few
yeah,
minutes?
I most certainly will. Yeah, I'll
And
address some of the chats.
I'll just I'm going to mute my end and cut my camera off and I'll be back in just a couple minutes because there's nobody here but me, and I got to check on these dogs and stuff out here.
Oh, no problem, Joe. No problem at all.
I'll be back shortly.
We'll be
And
here.
okay, man, thank you.
All right, no problem, brother. No problem, man. Yeah, so let's see. Old man Dan Dante says, yeah, people like raw videos too. Yeah, David Safford on Facebook. See, guys, Deb gets on Facebook. I don't. I feel embarrassed. Some of the stuff I don't know how to do. I don't know how to get on it. That's why you don't see me on all these platforms. But David Safford said on Facebook, if you post what you're, yeah, we just read that. Yeah, exactly. You get more views. Yeah, he was jealous. Yeah, Stafford, it's tough, man. It's really tough because to me, I'm always a fan because when I started playing, I started you know, as a kid. And to me, it's never that impression. It's like, how much when you guys pick up your guitar, don't you get that feeling like, wow, this is awesome? I don't know, maybe everyone needs to work a day job so they leave that time away from the instrument. Then you come back with a refreshed mind, and it's like, wow, this is really cool, Because if you think about it, the guitar, the amps, the pedals, they didn't do anything to anybody, but it's the people running things. They're the ones. They're the ones that make it like really ridiculous. And something, Stafford? Uh, when I do the classical style guitar and the flamenco, there was a point in the early 2000s I was going to start to get involved, and I'll tell this story when Joe gets back. Um, in with the classical guitar competitions through Guitar Foundation of America, and boy, I'll tell you what, there's good, there's extremely good, and there's a smoking extremely good. And when you watch these people play, it's like if you close your eyes, it's like they know how to fade in, they know how to fade out, all dynamics, and there's no amplification at all. It's 100% from the hands. And it makes you realize, it humbles you because when you watch these people that are superior musicians, it makes you think, I would like to get to that level. So, what I was doing for a while, practicing and playing very little on the electric and doing a lot with the classical guitar. And I think that's how I started getting a lot of these gigs because I had people tell me this. And I understand what they mean, but they'll tell me, listen, Dave, anyone could put together a cover band and play these songs. Anybody can. And okay, there's truth to it, but I don't like saying it to put other people down because I still like to pick up the electric guitar and plug in and rock out and jam and have a good time, you know? But I understand from their point of view what they're saying because, you know, like when you guys go to high end functions, whether it be a wedding or a Christmas party or whatever it is that's kind of more high end. You ever notice everyone will dress nice and oh well now people are they'll have their draft or craft beer whatever they call it, but a lot of times they'll have champagne and things of that nature. It's like they don't they want to be known as the elite, so they don't want anything that's down that's going to make them feel like they're okay, they're not with the elite. With some of these people, that's how they look at rock music, metal music, and cover bands. That's how they look at that. So when you're trying to jump these levels and get yourself established, it's weird. It's like you got to play this type of a game because you're trying to sell yourself. And the only way you could sell yourself is that, hey, I can't do this, I can't do that, but I still respect all that. And when people start, cutting things down, I would always just dummy up and I would just let them talk, because I know that's not the case. And there's a lot of people that can't stand jazz or classical. They want to hook up, they want to play AC/DC. And they do it very, very well. So they are equally as good as a trained classical, guitarist. Yeah, beer tents usually just want cover exactly Stafford's music. And then look, I'm not saying you can't make money with some of the cover bands, but it gets like you hit this plateau and that you stay there. That's it. There's no room for going up, you know. I remember doing this benefit show. Um, it was called Writing for a Cure. We were doing a sound check, and this lady heard me warming up, and I'm playing, the classical guitar and that. She come up to me and she offered between $3,000 and $3,500 for me to come and do her next event. And I couldn't say anything because she was friends with the lady that hired me, so she would know exactly what she paid me. You know what I mean? So when it comes to the price, and I would stay out of that. I would let Deb do that. So then this way, when people would come up to me and ask me, well, how much would you charge for this or how much would you charge for that? I would always say, you got to talk with Deb because she's doing all my management, Because you could get yourself, you could shoot yourself in the foot by start saying, oh, I only charge this or I charge that. Next thing you know, okay, now there's a conflict of interest because and we would do these shows and Deb would drop the contract and we would get a deposit so that we would make sure that we would make some money in case something happens. And, or if something happened with us, we would be responsible and liable to hold to that contract. So the event would go on. But you see, when people start signing contracts and there's money involved and they start finding out that, hey, you charged me this much, but how come you charged my friend that much? That's a whole different ballgame. That's what I would tell people. If you want to find out money, you got to talk to Deb because I do not want to get in the middle of that situation.
10-4.
Well, I'll tell you, that starts, another thing, you never talk religion, politics, or someone's salary.
Speaking of religion, look in the chat. Holy smokes. He popped in out of nowhere. Reverend Willie B. Styles what is he doing? What is he saying? Praise the Lord and hallelujah. I wanted to take a moment to say hello. I got to get back to my sermon here at the Church of God. Thanks, Rev. Thanks for taking a moment to stop in. Wow, that's crazy.
I hope Lucretia Girl's doing good.
Man, I hope so too. Well, I don't know. Man, that's crazy. Man, golly. So, all right. What's going on there? Dave, what was you saying?
So, yeah, I was telling when with doing the classical guitar, we did this one event called the Writing for a Cure. And what it was a benefit that would take when people would do the Kentucky Derby and they're done with those horses,
Yeah.
sometimes they would just put them down or just, treat them
Oh
like
man.
it was garbage.
Oh
So
man.
this lady was doing this fundraiser to take those horses to take them to a facility that people would give them the proper care and they could live out their life. So it was called Riding for a Cure. There was 150 people on horseback. Well, this lady, she heard me playing, warming up before the show, and I'm doing my classical guitar thing. So she comes up to me, and she literally, right then and there, Joe, she offered me for her next function. She said, "What would you charge? Like 3,000, 3,500, just name it, and it's yours."
Golly.
I know. So see, this is what I mean. And in the world of classical guitar, now it gets deemed, it gets looked at like, okay, that's a whole different level. Everyone's wearing a suit, everyone's dressed nice, everyone's acting nice. So it's going to cost more for this. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So you got to kind of know how to shift things to, play to that crowd. But the reason why we did not get that gig, this is right after the Bernie Madoff scandal happened. And
Mm.
not far after Bernie Madoff, there was a guy named Arthur Anderson who had he was an accountant out of downtown Chicago. Well, he got caught shredding documents, and
Uh-oh.
these people had investments with this guy.
Uh-oh.
So when all this was going down, they panic and they stop all events. You know what I mean? So
Mm.
this is what happens.
Wow.
So what are you gonna do?
Man. Golly. That's sad, man.
That is. Back in the day, you can still ride. Vintage sounds.
Jamie, he's crazy. He's crazy, man. That's crazy. Oh, I wanted to also say, I don't know if anybody is aware, but if you look in the description of this video, you'll see links for. We got new shirts. The Dave and Joe Show.
I
We have
saw it.
we have new shirts in the store, man, and they haven't been out long. So click the link below if you want sometime later or whenever you want, and check out the new Dave and Show the Dave and Joe Show shirts. That's a tongue twister.
There's a tongue
And
twister, Joe.
they're pretty cool, man. They got the baseball tees, the regular tees, or whatever, and there's also other merch there available if you like. And not trying to, you know, do any shameless plugs here, but nobody's going to know about the stuff if you don't throw it out there.
That's it.
You know.
Right.
So
You can even have the Mr. T's out there.
yeah, that's right.
It's Friday, fool.
Yeah, I pity the fool. What's up? Hey, Shifty, what's going on, man? I didn't know you was in here. Let's see.
Hey, Shifty.
He says, growing up in a horse racing family, retired horses got the life of a high maintenance broad. Wow. Stafford Music Studio, thank you for the super chat, man. Thank you very much. Appreciate that, sir. That's very kind of you. And yeah, I like to hear when people treat animals well, because I'm a huge animal lover. And man, that's something that'll make me turn quick, boy. I'll turn on somebody quick if I see somebody messing with a kid or an animal.
Yeah,
and it's
a shame, man. It really is.
It's gonna be a bad day if they cross me with that. But anyway, man. So Dave, what else is going on? Anything else you want to promote? Anything you want to plug, or anything else that we haven't touched on?
Yeah, I mentioned that when we would see, I have to talk with Deb about this. She would be able to, she knows all the numbers when we were talking about doing all our road shows and things of that nature. When I was still teaching Chicago, and people would say, "Wow, Dave, it'd be kind of cool," and this would be people like, in their 30s and 40s could ask if they could, if I'm making that much money, maybe I can too, and maybe I could take time off from work. And I would tell them, don't do that. And I was not trying to be a killjoy. I would just tell them, just keep in mind, especially if you got a family, you need a steady income, and music is not a steady income, man.
It's not. It is not. It is not. It's something that, for me, that I just love to do because I love to play.
Yeah.
Dave, you would get this, and I'm sure everybody in the chat would understand what I'm about to say. But to your average person, they wouldn't get it. But playing music is my passion. So
Yep.
when I can, it don't matter if I'm playing live on YouTube or if I'm uh, making some pre-recorded videos or whatever. I get this rush, when I get done with it or whatever. I'm like, man, that felt great. You get
Yep.
this elate. You just feel elated, and then that's what music does for me, and that's why I love to do it. So
And
I
I'll tell you what, Joe, I love watching you play, man.
oh shit,
I'll
I
tell you what, man.
appreciate it.
If you factor in, look how many hours you put in working
Oh
and
man,
then playing the guitar. So could you imagine if you had all that time playing the guitar?
oh man,
Your technique would be like,
I
look out, man.
I'd be I'd be maybe in LA or something. I don't know. I'd be somewhere different. But nah, but yeah, like I said, when I was in my early 20s, that's when I really, I came to not to be funny, but I came to a crossroads. I really
Yep.
did in my life. But I found out real quick at a real young age that, man, either you go this way and have a steady income with working a blue collar job, or you go this way and you don't know what you're going to get.
You
You don't,
don't?
and then you're going to lose your family because nobody wants to be with anybody. Look, man, this is how I was raised. Ain't no woman going to be with no lazy ass man who ain't going to work. That's just the way it
That's
is.
it.
That's just, I mean, and if you sitting at home and you ain't working, but your woman's working and you're not, you ain't no man. You
Hmm.
get your ass up and do what you're supposed to do. That's how I was raised. But this generation is different. They things are different. Now, I know everybody has different situations. Somebody
Yeah.
might have a medical issue, a health issue. That's an entirely different thing. I'm talking about somebody that's able-bodied,
Yep.
but they don't want to go to work. They have an excuse. You got doers and you got talkers. Which one are you?
Yes.
Are you a doer or a talker? I'm a doer.
Yep. Exactly.
Fuck all that talking bullshit. I'm a doer.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's just how I live my life. Is it perfect? Absolutely not. It's not. I make mistakes all the time. I'm not perfect at nothing. But by God, I get out there and get it done. If I tell somebody I'm going to do something, guess what? It gets done. You
See,
know.
I was raised the same way, Joe. There is no free rides in life. And
No.
like I said, if you're gonna sit around and wait for, it's like remember that the Griswolds, and their Uncle Eddie's waiting for the
Yeah,
management job,
yeah.
7 years.
Drinking beer all the time, living
Drinking
out of an
all the
RV.
time.
Yeah,
And then RV,
yeah.
and the sad thing is, the world is filled with starving musicians and artists out on the street. But I remember a friend of ours asked, he's got a recording studio. He asked Deb, he goes, what does it take to make it in this industry? I mean, no matter how hard I tried, what does it take? And Deb says, money.
Oh
You
yeah,
know what?
yeah.
Even if you don't know anybody, if you have money, and I'll tell you what, Joe, I had people, they could disagree all they want. And yeah, when you go up to certain levels, there's other people that got money. Maybe they could beat you to the punchline or that. When people are touring, they rent out these arenas because they got to fill them. You ever notice they don't really play too much? Well, now they do because it's not, the guitar music is not as popular as it used to be. But back in the day, you would never see the Scorpions, Iron Maiden, Rush, or Van Halen play at the local bar down the road. You would never see that. They'd always play in arenas. So how do they get there? Well, they know so and so that's a manager. This is what we were telling our friends. What does so and so, the manager, have? Money. Because the guy that owns that arena, when it's off season, there's nothing happening, he's got property taxes. He's got to rent out that space. And anyone that's got bucks that's willing to rent it out, he doesn't care as long as you don't tear up his place. As long as you're going to pay for that time that you're renting out, he's going to make his money. Whatever it is you're doing, go ahead, just make sure you clean up after yourself. And when we told that to our friend, it's like a light bulb went on in his head. So basically, if you win the lottery, yeah, you're set. Just don't blow your money on stupid things.
Yeah, don't blow your money all at once. And
No.
let me address a couple of these questions, Mr. Dave, if you don't
Yeah.
mind.
Oh no, no.
Vintage Sounds said, Joe, have you been flying your drone lately? Not lately. I haven't. I really just haven't had the time. I love doing that. That's another thing I love to do when I have the time. I don't know. it's a relaxing experience for me flying a drone. I'm not real good at it. I'm still learning, but I've always been uh, infatuated with flight. I don't like to fly like being on a plane or I've done it, but but to me, if you can put something up in there like a drone and you can see what it's seeing and you're still on the ground, I think that's really cool. I've always loved the whole art of flying. I think it's really cool.
That is awesome.
Jim Guidry says playing guitar is therapy for me. Absolutely, man. I feel the same.
Same here, man. Oh,
Shifty says I think working nights helps. Get to play in the daytime, and working nights is like simulating a gig night. Yeah.
it is. Yeah. Yeah.
Stafford Music Studio. Guitar is my passion, and therapy also helps with anxiety. That's right. Old Man Dan says Joe was old school. Yeah, well, that's just how I was raised. I mean, my father always worked his ass off. And that's just how I was raised, and that's how I was taught.
Yeah.
You want something, take your ass to work and get the money and buy it. Don't ask nobody for shit. You do it on your own. And so I ain't got no use for people that beg for money and
Oh,
they too lazy to go to work. You know what? Fuck you. Take that shit somewhere else. I don't give a fuck. I can't stand people like that, man.
yep.
And pardon my language, but it rattles my fucking cage, man. Uh, let's see. Shifty says my folks are from the Depression. I blame the boomers. Their kids from the 80s and early 90s seem to helicopter around the kids and take the burden of work off of them. They're free labor. I'm telling you. I'm telling you.
Joe, when you mentioned that, yeah, I'm not into that. Gimme, gimme, gimme. You know what I mean? Lazy, lazy, lazy. There is, it seems like there's this trend, and I'm not trying to pick on anybody, but this is what people's perception is when they go to NAMM. Okay, I'd rather go to a vintage guitar show because I know I'm going to find some real treasures. Real NAMM is cool. I've been to only one, and I was fortunate enough to be like a guest to a friend playing in the Gibson booth. Deb's been to several because of her. She had a custom speaker company her and her business partner were building these custom speakers. So they had a couple of tables, at the NAMM. It was back in the late 80s. She said it was like $2,500 to rent those boots in Anaheim, California.
And that was in the late 80s.
And that was in the late 80s.
God.
But
Oh.
now, what really gets me is that if a person gets lucky and if someone's going to sponsor them, hey, more power to you. God bless you. Yeah. But keep in mind when you go to these shows, and if you do demos on YouTube, you might not get that sponsorship, that endorsement. You might not get free stuff. But it's almost sad that I see people, they want to get into NAMM thinking they're going to get free stuff. What's going to happen to a company, Joe, if they constantly give stuff away for free?
They're going to go out of business.
They would go out of business, man. And you could tell either a company is extremely established, they could afford to give away stuff, and the guy's getting ready to retire, and what does he care? Or you get someone that thinks, okay, I'm a new company, I got to sell my products, so I'll give stuff away to all the YouTubers. And within a year or less, they go out of business. And what's even worse, some of these people, they quit their day job, not realizing when you're in business, when you're a startup company, you need solid income coming in. So don't quit your day job because you still have bills to pay. You still have to pay for that company. If you're not going to sell products and give stuff away, how you like you say, you go out of business. I was never into that. Gimme, gimme, gimme. Dave, why don't you call this person? Dave, why don't you call that person? See if they'll give you stuff. You know what? If I want to contact Ibanez, I'll say, just do a name change. I'm buying your stuff because I really like your product. If you want to give me stuff for free, that's fine. But I'm not going to knock on somebody's door and ask for free stuff. I get my ass out there and work for it, man. You know what I mean?
That's right. And that just speaks about a lot about your character as a human being.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, golly, man. It's just,
A manufacturer is going to respect somebody that's going to stay true blue, that they could say, hey, when we look at our records, where is our, when you buy stuff, and sooner or later they're going to find out, oh, so and so, especially if you're going to order it from the company, they're going to see your name. Wow, so and so is buying my product. So and so is helping my company survive. So why don't I give a kickback to Joe Wentz? He's working, he's buying my product, as opposed to giving it some dead. And I'm not going to call people deadbeats. I shouldn't say that, but someone that's the gimme, and they're not doing anything. You know what I mean? They will jump ship if I come up and make something, build a guitar. They'll want to jump on my bandwagon. And then if I say, okay, let's see what you got going on, and then someone across the table says, hey, I'm making stuff, I'll give you stuff away for, they'll jump off your ship and go on to them. Companies that are looking for stability, they're not looking for people to jump shift and be all shifty, because they can never trust that person.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. Old man Dan made a comment about the NAM in the 80s, Dave. He says NAM in the 80s was way better. You could buy the show guitars for great deals, as the manufacturers didn't want to ship them back out.
That's it. Yep.
Wow, that's cool. I've never been to a NAM show. I'm not saying nothing bad about the NAM show. I don't know. It's just something that I know that sounds crazy coming from a guitar player, musician standpoint, but I was just like, I just don't care about going. It's just,
Can I tell you what my experience was with, over at NAM, Joe?
Yeah, please.
I was there a full 8 hours on a Sunday, I think it was. Yeah. And within the first 3 hours, I was seeing things. You will see stars. I jammed in the PV booth with Adrian Vandenberg, and I was only like 27 years old. And the starstruck thing, it only lasts real short, because when you see how some of these people actually act, it's like, you got to be freaking kidding me. The guy in the Gibson booth wanted to sell me a baseball hat for $5. I'm in his booth, and this was the younger kids from Gibson. And I'm in their booth, and I didn't get paid or anything like that. I'm playing one of their guitar synthesizers that sounded like crap. I mean, it was garbage, flat out garbage.
Yeah.
I couldn't pick up the Epiphone Les Paul, because that's when Epiphone just released their Les Paul. I went to say, hey, do you mind if I try that? No, that you can't touch that. Okay, what can I do? You know what I mean? So I'm sitting in the booth, and then across from me, because Gibson had a big booth, and there was a very famous guitarist. He passed away a while back. He did a lot of sessions. He wrote for Guitar Player magazine, and he's been on, TV commercials, movies, radio ads, everything. You've heard him play. A young guy had an Ibanez Destroyer, a red Ibanez Destroyer, and he said to this guy, he said, Mr. So-and-so, it's such an honor meeting you. It would be an honor for you to play my guitar. Do you mind playing my guitar? So here he is, and there's Herb Ellis, and there's all these other jazz cats I can't remember. This guy grabs this other guy's guitar. He starts playing, and right away he's mocking the guitar. What kind of piece of crap is this, man? The expression on this dude's face was like he got his heart crushed in front of everybody.
That's wrong, man.
It's wrong, because, Joe, that's all this guy could afford. He has a family, probably. He's got to work. He's not as fortunate. And this big fat prick is acting like that. And I'm going to say it like it is, man. I'm going to say it like it is, because that's what I was seeing. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. This is how these people are. They got no respect. If you're a nobody, they piss on you. They would not be in that position if us nobodies didn't buy their albums or go to the movies or help. We did have some sort of a part in their success. I'm not saying we had everything, but don't mistreat people like that. But, I was young, and I think if I would have been there now, I would have maybe got thrown out of NAM, because I would have said something. You don't treat people like that, Joe.
No,
you
absolutely
don't, man.
not. No, absolutely not,
And
man.
Deb used to go, because since she was in the ones in Anaheim, she would say, you would not believe the after show parties, how these people get drunk, wasted, and it'd be like a free for all. And there was some nice people. Not everybody was like that, but there was a lot of arrogance, a lot of arrogance.
Wow, man.
And it's like, are you kidding me? So that's why I don't have this big wow factor to go to NAM. Hey, those people ain't paying my bills.
Yeah, that's what
You
I'm
know what
saying.
I mean?
That's what I'm saying. I just, yeah, I just, like I said, I've never been to one of those, and it seems like I'm not now. I'm an outsider looking in. I don't know nothing about that stuff, but it seems like really all it is for people to rub elbows.
Yep.
I mean, that's just well, I saw so and so, or let me get a selfie with this person and this person, and I guess that's just the way it is nowadays. And that's if that's what you like, hey man, have at it. But for me, I'm just like, man, I don't, I could, I just that doesn't do anything for me,
No, no.
So
And,
I don't know. It's just I don't know.
and there is some real nice people there. So not everybody is pompous like that. And it is nice to meet, your favorite guitarists and maybe get an opportunity to have some. But at the end of the day, this is the cold hard reality. If I were to go to your company right now where you're working at, Joe, and they say, wow, this guy Dave, he knows how to drive. You know what, Joe? Would you mind taking, if however high in the rank you are, would you mind, going down the ranks to let someone else take your position? I don't think you'd let someone take your job. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's how it is in the music industry. If these people think that these people are going to give you the good gig, they're going to take that good gig for themselves. Everyone looks out for number one. That's themselves. They're not good. They'll help you. They may mention your name here and there. But if you think that they're going to give you the best gigs, oh, you're sadly mistaken. They're going to keep the best gigs for themselves.
That's exactly right. And I just want to interject something here, and this is completely up to you, Dave. People are going nuts wanting to know who that was that you saw at NAM that was acting like a complete jerk. And we'll just ask this: was it a blues guitar player, or was it like
No,
a mainstream musician that
he
was
was a
popular at the time?
mainstream. He was a mainstream musician. He used to write articles in Guitar Player. Oh my
Oh,
God, how
okay.
could I forget his name? He was a heavy set guy. He did all the sessions, all the recording sessions. And it's just, why did I forget his name now? You see, I had not mentioned his name so long that because I didn't want to disrespect, because he did pass away, and
Well, yeah. That's I completely understand that. I'm not. We're not here to trash
yeah.
anybody. I was just wondering if it was a blues player
No, it was not a blues
or
player. No,
because
no.
I think somebody was asking if it was a blues player. Old man Dan says I've met tons of sports stars, um, racers, and a few musicians, and never been in awe of any of them. Some were very cool, and some were complete jerks. I've always heard be careful of how bad you want to meet your heroes because you may be disappointed.
You may be disappointed.
And I've always heard that. Then you want to keep that at at arm's length. If you're in awe of somebody, a musician or whoever, and you meet them and you're like, man, I've admired you all my life, and they turn out to be a complete asshole. It's that's it makes for a bad day. You
Yeah.
know.
I remember the guy's name, and for people who are fans of him, and actually I did mention to a guy that I did a show with, and he was shocked. I said, there's a difference between having a bad day and just being letting your ego get the best of you. The guy's name was Tommy Tedesco. And I used to read a lot of his articles, and I used to get, just by reading his articles, I thought, wow, that's so cool. And I'm sure for some people he was nice, but I could not believe what I was seeing. This guy is the first time he's meeting him. Now, could you imagine someone comes up to you, Joe, the first time they're meeting you, and they're a big fan of you? And I know you would never do anything like that, but I could not believe how he did this in front of this guy, in front of everybody. It's like mocking the guy when the guy just told him it'd be an honor for you to play my guitar.
Mm.
Now, if you're really that big of a star, and you're really that smart, you're really that good, why would you do that to that guy? That's
Yeah,
when I
that's
just lost 100% respect for him. I'm, and I'm
yeah.
not saying, but anyone. I mean, one of my biggest guitar players I like the best, that influenced me a lot was Al Di Meola. But if he would do something like that to me, I'd say, you know what, you put your drawers on one leg at a time, just like I do, just like anybody else, and
That's
don't ever
true.
forget it.
That's true. That's true, man. Yeah, I'm not familiar with that gentleman or any of his
Yeah,
stuff. Let's see.
some people might, some people who have,
Yeah, there's some people that recognize that name. I see in the chat. Kevin Landorf says I met John Sykes by chance, and he was a lovely guy. Well, that's cool,
see,
man.
yeah.
Man, how about that? Wow. Yeah, that would be
Now,
that would be disappointing. I mean,
yeah.
that would be really disappointing, man. I don't know. I would be like, golly, what just
Yeah.
happened? What just happened there?
I couldn't believe it, Joe. I was like in awe. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Man,
You know?
that's insane. That is insane. That's sad.
That's
very
real sad.
Well, let's see. It is almost 11:15.
Oh yeah, look at
So
that.
let's see. How long we been on now? What time are we going? About 9:30? 9:35, because we had to reboot. We had to, we had to do a second shot here. We got on and it was like, and now batting number 13. It was a bad echo on this end, and I apologize. So we had to restart. And man, golly, it was just it's just what you get sometimes with the internet and trying to do your own thing when you're broadcasting.
Now, what's supposed to be going on with the live hangouts? Is there something going on that everyone's crying and wetting the bed over or something? I mean, I hate to say it like that, Joe, but I'm seeing a lot of sadness out there. That's like, okay, what did you do before there was the internet? Did you do anything before the internet?
I don't really. I couldn't tell you. Maybe somebody in the chat could if they know. The only thing I want to say that I heard that Hangouts was going away. I don't know if it's later this year or next year. They're doing away with Hangouts, but they're going to have another thing that's like Hangouts, but it's something you'd have to pay for. Now,
Right.
if that's 100% true, I don't know.
Right.
I can't. So don't hold me to that. But I want to say that's what I thought I heard. But that was a lot earlier in the year when I heard that. So I don't know if Google's trying to change some stuff up. I don't know. But
Yeah.
we'll see. We'll see what happens.
I mean, I'm gonna miss. I hope it does because I love doing the show with you and that. So I hope it doesn't. Hopefully they're gonna make it a lot, user friendly. Like for someone like me that's still stuck with the top load VCR technology.
Betamax. Yes.
Betamax.
Yeah.
Make sure you rewind that tape before you return it.
Be kind, rewind, or there will be a fee. A fee. Yeah, I won't never forget that. I took that back, and the girl went, "She opened up them damn containers. You didn't rewind these." I was like, I tried to play it off. I thought I did. She goes, "Does this look like you rewound it?" I was like, "My God!" And she put it in that little rewinder. Put them in the case. She goes, "Next time you won't get charged." And I thought to myself, God Almighty. So it
what
was.
Am I going to do?
Yeah, I was like, my God. So I bought one of those videotape rewinders. I bought one, plugged it up beside my little entertainment center, and I put it back. And I said, well, they won't charge me no more. But let's see here. Old Man Dan says we've been on for 100 minutes. Wow, that's an hour and 40 minutes. Wow. Okay.
Wow. Okay.
Vintage Sound says, hey, Les Paul, when he played the Iridium in New York, he called Joe Walsh up, and he was acting goofy. Joe Walsh is always acting goofy. He's always he's a killer musician, guitar player, but he's always got a wacky sense of humor, I think. But
I think Old Man Dan's got some. He said just use Skype and OBS.
Yeah, you can use Skype or OBS. Yeah, if the only thing that I don't know, I don't think you can go live on Skype though and have a chat. I mean, maybe you can. I don't know.
I think Mitch Heyman was trying to do that the other day, and I didn't get a chance to watch yet. And he might have looked like he was having a little bit of trouble.
Yeah, that's what I like about Hangouts, because you can have a live chat and communicate with the people in the chat
Yeah.
and keep things rolling. That's what I love about it. That's what, to me, that's
Oh,
what's
it's
fun.
great.
I love that. So even if I really don't think they would get rid of Hangouts. I think, like I said, I believe what I heard is they're going to have another version of it, but it's going to be something you have to pay for. I don't know. We'll see. We'll have to
We'll see what
see.
happens.
We'll have to
Yeah.
see. And if it's something you have to pay for, it couldn't be a lot of money. There's no way. I mean, but
No, because they're going to make their money because still a lot of people use Hangouts, you know?
oh man, Dan says no. You run the Skype window inside of OBS and still stream. See, that's my only problem is I can't run OBS because all I have is a laptop. Actually, Dave and I have the same laptop.
We do. We do.
So OBS for me, it never would work because the processor in this laptop is not real strong, so
No.
it wouldn't support OBS. So all I can do was the Google Hangouts. I'm doing good to do that. And as you saw, we had to do it twice to get it to work. You know. Oh
Oh
my
my
goodness.
God. Oh.
But it's all right, man. We still got it. We still got it rolling.
Yeah, we still got it rolling.
All right, Dave, is any final thoughts, final words, or anything you
Well,
want to bring up?
I just think that this is great, man. Everyone on here in this platform is just killer people, man. This is awesome. And Joe, I thank you so much, man, because I'm glad that we're doing this together because you are the first person that I was able to do the leave the comments. Remember when you were doing your live chat? And I thought I'm gonna send him a message, see if it goes through, and bam, you responded. And you've been cool, true blue, good guy ever since, man. Great guitar player, and it's an honor doing this with you, man.
Oh man, but it's an honor doing it with you as well. I appreciate it, man. Thank you very much. Thank you for your kind words. And Kevin Landorf, yes, I still have the Facebook Messenger. I still have that. I just don't have Facebook. So yeah, I still have the Messenger, which I don't get on it as much at all. And but yeah, thank you to everybody who was in here.
Yeah, I appreciate it so
participated
much.
in the chat. Thank you to people who had nice comments to say and kept the show going. Thank you for the super chats very much. I appreciate that a whole lot. You didn't have to do that, but thank you that you did. That's very kind of you.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Thank you to everybody. And I hope you have a wonderful west side story rest of the weekend. Yeah, Krisha, girl, get your ass in here. And thanks to the Rev for stopping by in the chat for
man.
Yeah. And Saturday Night Live, or actually Saturday Night Jam is what I like to call it. I can't technically call it Saturday Night Live because that's already on TV. But that's what I'm going to do when I get off of here, off with Mr. Rock and Dave. I got to edit some videos together, and I hope that I'll have a video to premiere tomorrow around 9 p.m. I hope. So
awesome.
if you're interested, come back to this channel tomorrow around between 9 and 9:30, and I hope that I have a premiere put together. It's just there's been a lot happening here. This past week has been very busy, and there's been a lot of sad things that have happened here that have had to been addressed on personal matters. But so and between that and work, it's hard to find time to do this. So thank y'all for being here, man. I really appreciate it. And this channel does not get a lot of momentum because this channel, Rock and Dave and myself and everybody else that's here, this is the working man's channel. This is the blue collar channel.
Man.
We work for what we have and don't have much, but we working for it. So
we love
thank you. Thank you to everybody. God bless y'all. Thank you for being here and putting up with our crazy shenanigans. And
remember, empty bottles bring happy faces.
That's right, man. The more you drink, the better we sound. Woo. That's what I'm saying. Let that man have him another hit or something about.
That's right, man.
That's right. Another round on me, man.
Another round of water here. It's free.
Yeah, right here.
Musicians pay.
Yeah.
I'm buying.
Great value. Yeah, yeah, I'm buying. Yeah, that's it. That is it, man. We have a good time here. Thank you, Dave. Thank you, everybody, for being here. And I hope, if Lord's willing and the creek don't rise, we'll be back in 2 weeks, right, Dave?
Yes. Yep. That sounds good to me, man.
Does that sound good? So
Yep.
hopefully we'll be here. We're trying, folks. We're trying to bring you some entertainment here, and hopefully you had a couple of laughs. And so we keep it real over here. So
That's right.
on behalf of Rockin' Dave, Byron, the real deal, and myself, Joe from the Joe Wentz Project TV, thank you for being here. We'll catch y'all on the flip side. Until then, have a great weekend. Where guitars still live and breathe right here on the Joe Wentz Project TV. Take care, y'all. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.